CBS 6 News starts now.
Some state lawmakers want to put a stop to a green energy goal, why they say electric school buses are a non-starter.
Plus, if it bleeds, it leads. An old news motto with a dark story. How it shaped the life of a former New York photographer and how he's using it to bring some good to the community now.
Discuss all these developments, which are really started all by Channel 6, by the way. But the developments have been fast and furious the last few days.
The fallout continues from our CBS 6 You Paid For It report last week, revealing that Albany County District Attorney David Soares gave himself a bonus from a pair of New York State grants.
Since our story last week, there has been outrage from both sides of the political aisle. We revealed that an independent outside investigation determined that the bonus David Soares gave himself with state taxpayer money amounted to additional compensation that was in violation of the law. Now, with the pressure mounting, Soares is giving back the money. With each passing day.
Check out this video, New York Central Park, a winter wonderland. It's a very different scene than what we had here in the capital region today, as a nor'easter missed us, and not by a lot. Chief Meteorologist Steve LaPointe here now. And Steve, the forecast for our area changed quite a bit over the past few days.
It did, but we had a really good forecast in place about 24 hours prior to the storm. And in fact, nothing fell here, but it did cut off very close to.
Steve, thanks. With such a mild winter, it means the usual seasonal fun in places like Lake George is on hold.
Unfortunately true. This time of year, we often see a frozen Lake George. Very inviting to people who like ice fishing, but that really hasn't been the case at all this season. CBS 6 meteorologist Sam Copeland is live for us on the shores of Lake George tonight. Sam, you've been speaking with some business people. I can't believe anyone's too happy about this. Thank you, Bree. Price Chopper Market 32 announcing official plans today to open 4 new locations, replacing the now vacant ShopRite stores that closed last year.
The new stores will replace former ShopRite locations in Albany, Colony, Niskayuna, and North Greenbush. All ShopRite locations closed last October across the capital region. The Albany Price Chopper will shift from the Westgate Plaza on Central Avenue just down the road to the ShopRite's former Albany location. Grand reopenings for these locations are expected this summer. Coming up all new at 6 tonight, a crisis in the classroom report, a private school shakeup as administrators announce a restructuring that will take place during the upcoming academic year. CBS 6's JT Fetch joining us now in studio with a preview. JT.
Well, Imani, the Albany Academy's boast tips at gmail.com. Greg and Imani.
JT, thank you. Some New York State Republican lawmakers and school leaders calling for a mandate requiring all school buses in the state to be zero emission by the year 2035.
Some lawmakers and districts worry the cost of an all-electric fleet may not be worth it or even possible. Mary Keeler takes a look at those concerns.
State lawmakers.
Thank you, Mary. An old school news motto that shaped storytelling for years.
If it bleeds, it leads, taking on new meaning in the form of a play for one former photojournalist.
And coming up in sports, we preview a night filled with league titles up for grabs on the hardwood. We'll also hand out our High School Player of the Week award.
If it bleeds, it leads. It's a common phrase from the old era of TV news when violent stories were often prioritized over others. It's a phrase that's long haunted and impacted a former New York news photographer. But now Sean Allison is taking that phrase and giving it new meaning through a one-man show now running at the Park Theater in Hudson. I sat down with the former photographer turned actor to learn what he hopes the audience will take away. A man who spent his career putting others on TV, now stepping into a spotlight of his own.
I didn't realize how much psychological and emotional trauma the violence had actually done to me.
The former New York City news photographer grew up in a journalism family and covered the violent city streets in the 90s, a time when he says someone was killed every couple of hours. His one-man show depicts the lingering effects of covering bloody crime scenes throughout his career, saying it was almost impossible to leave what he saw through his lens behind at the scene.
And we're sitting there, and I hear pop, pop. And I looked at him and I said, those are gunshots. And a guy got in an argument with somebody at a strip club. And on his way out the door, the person shot him in the head. And so I got there before the ambulance was there. So I have seen up close and personal.
Because of those violent crime scenes, Sean decided to leave his career as a news photographer behind to instead work with his therapist, a combat veteran who diagnosed Sean with a form of PTSD typically experienced by military veterans.
I had these things for 30 years, but I never really did anything with them. And I wondered why, but now I think it's because it takes 30 years to process that kind of trauma.
Sean says the show illustrates how the public dictates what is covered in the news and hopes all of the bad encourages the community to continue seeking out the good.
The show can be a window that's accessible to lots of different people into a part of other people's lives that they don't really generally have access to.
The play won the Best Storyteller Award at the United Solo Festival last year. If you'd like to catch the show, there will be another performance this Sunday at 3 p.m. at the Park Theater in Hudson. You can also catch Sean performing next month back at the United Solo Festival in New York City on March 26th at 7 p.m.
30s to around 40 Monday and Tuesday.
Steve, thanks. Sports is next. Here's a look at what's ahead at 5:30.
Some New York State lawmakers say law enforcement needs a better partnership with federal immigration officials.
Plus, scamming the scammers, vigilante justice can leave some feeling empowered, but giving the bad guys a taste of their own medicine is frowned upon.
Across the country, it was a total spike of 10% more compared to last year's big game. Certainly some crazy numbers. Guys, back to you.
And the TV ratings numbers through the roof as well.
That's right.
Yep. All right. A targeted burglary trend in Colony.
Next at 5:30, who police say are being targeted and why. First at 5:30, your top stories and weather headlines. Here's what you need to know.
Albany County DA David Soares says he wants to give back a bonus payment and distribute it to his staff. The payment was made through a state grant, with Soares facing an investigation and calls to resign.
Price Chopper Market 32 is officially announcing plans to open stores in the former ShopRite locations in Albany, Colony, Niskayuna, and North Greenbush.
New Yorkers in the 3rd Congressional District on Long Island are voting to replace Republican Congressman George Santos. Democrat Tom Swazi hoping to win back his seat. He's up against Republican Mazi Pilip, an Ethiopian-born Israeli-American and Long Island County legislator. In-depth coverage on all these stories online. Just head to CBS6Albany.com.
And we do have a shot of windy and chilly air coming in later.
Well, after undocumented migrants attacked New York City police officers back in January, state Republican lawmakers are calling for changes in New York's partnership with federal immigration agencies.
They say they need to work together. CBS 6's Emma Quinn reports on how lawmakers hope to make sure that happens.
After a group of migrants attacked 2 NYPD officers in January,
House Republicans expected to try to impeach DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas again for his handling of the border crisis. At the same time, New York City facing an increase in crime as some claim gangs are recruiting migrants. Sinclair national correspondent Janae Bowens has a look at the growing issues. It's been more than a year since the Biden administration released a smartphone app for migrants in Mexico to apply for asylum. According to CBS News, the app called CBP-1 has seen more than 64 million requests to enter the U.S. So far, nearly 450,000 migrants have been allowed into the U.S. under the process. The data doesn't represent unique individuals, so it could include repeated attempts by the same people. But it does show the high demand among migrants to get into the country. Former President Trump expected to attend a hearing for his New York criminal case on Thursday. New York prosecutors say he took part in a cover-up of hush money payments to adult film actress Stormy Daniels related to his alleged affair with her. According to CNN, Trump considered going to a different hearing Thursday in the Georgia election interference case, where Fulton County DA Fani Willis could testify about allegations of an improper romantic relationship with her top prosecutor. But Trump's advisors argued the New York hearing is more important. Inflation seems to be cooling, and today's inflation report is likely to keep rate cuts at bay. Federal Reserve officials say they're not quite ready to ease up. They want to consistently hit a 2% inflation target. Right now, it's at 3.1%, a long way since the near double-digit numbers seen in 2022. Fed officials also want to see signs disinflation is moving beyond goods. Today's report shows the opposite is happening. Still, they say a rate cut is likely sometime mid-year. Well, tax season is in full swing, and this year many taxpayers can expect to see a smaller refund. The IRS reports it's issued more than 2.6 million refunds as of February 2nd. So far, the average refund issued this year is less than $1,400, about 29% smaller than last year's average. The agency notes this year's average refund is only based on 5 days since tax season just kicked off on January 29th.
Scammers, they are getting smarter all the time, and potential victims may want to fight back.
How some are doing so and the warnings that come with this vigilante justice.
Online and phone scams are more sophisticated than ever. Continuously evolving technology makes the cons believable for people of all ages.
But there's a new kind of vigilante out there taking a risk to put those scammers in their place. Cassie Arsenault introduces us to a young man doing just that.
It was earlier this year that I got scammed.
The FBI does not recommend taking part in this type of activity.
Yeah, if you've been a victim of a cybercrime, you should immediately report it to the Internet Crime Complaint Center and contact your local FBI field office.
Okay.
All right, good deal. Thank you so much, Steve. Coming up all new at 6 tonight on CBS 6, a crisis in the classroom report.
School enrollment trends, how private schools are faring coming out of the pandemic years.
The Gimlin Fire Department hosting its 22nd annual Rose Sale ahead of Valentine's Day tomorrow.
And as CBS 6 photojournalist Alec Tomas shows us, it's all going towards a good cause. If you're planning a romantic Valentine's Day dinner out, be prepared to shell out some cash. According to January Consumer Price Index, the price of food consumed at restaurants is up 5% year over year. Restaurants are trying to attract and retain labor by raising wages and, in turn, increasing prices. Well, still to come tonight, fallout and a shocking response from Albany County District Attorney David Soares, accused of using grant money for a personal bonus.
As county leaders put the pressure on Soares, how he's addressing the controversy is raising some new questions. Stay with us for the update.